Aloha everyone, and welcome back to Aloha Jen's Beauty Blog. For those of you that are new here, hi, my name is Jen and I am a licensed esthetician in the state of California. Well, today we are going to do a full brand application of the Ciele makeup products. So Ciele is a special makeup line that I think they've been around for, I want to say 1 or 2 years now, but all of their makeup products are formulated with mineral sun protection and they are acne safe. So this is not a sponsored video, and I picked up all these products on my own, by the way. I wanted to put that out there. And I, started off with their skin tint and their blushes, and I fell in love from there and just started slowly adding to my collection. Now, I have every single product in their line, not all the colors, but at least one product from the range. Now, their newest product that just released on Friday early in the Sephora app was their Prime and Protect Makeup Primer. This is an SPF 30 makeup primer, and it's formulated with 10% zinc oxide, and they do use non-nano zinc in their line, which is acne safe, so I wanted to point that out. The only product that I think, well, I know it has titanium dioxide in it, but is their Filter and Protect powders have titanium and zinc oxide, but most of the concentration is the zinc oxide, just so you guys know. So they just released this primer and I tried it today in our makeup application. So stay tuned for my final thoughts on all these products. But I wanted to just go over their products really quickly of what I have here, and then you guys are going to go into the application. So we have the Prime and Protect. This does not come in colors. It's just one universal shade. It doesn't give any color to the skin. It's just a makeup primer. So there's that. And then we have their Tint and Protect SPF 50. So this is a skin tint, but I will tell you that this has more coverage than your average skin tint. And it has SPF 50. Then we have their Sculpt and Protect SPF 30. And this is like your cream bronzer that can also be used as a contour as well. We have their Bronze and Protect SPF 50 concentrated bronzing drops. These you can use as a bronzer or to, put all over your skin under your foundation. You can add them to your foundation to darken it. Then we have their concealer. So their concealer is an SPF 50. And this is a great concealer, but you just have to know how to apply it, which I will go over that. And then I have 2 of their blushes. I have the shade January, which is sort of like a warm baby pink. And then I have Bahati, which is kind of like a nude, I want to say like a nude peach, maybe sort of has a hint of like rose to it, by the way. It looks nude, like a warm nude on me. So there's Bahati, and we have January. Then we have their other latest release, which is their Glow and Protect SPF 50 highlighter. The blushes are SPF 50, by the way. And I have the color Piper here, which is a very faint rose gold. And then we have their Filter and Protect powder. So this is an SPF 30. You can use this to set your makeup. You can use this to reapply your sun protection during the day for touch-ups and everything like that. So those are the products from their line. They currently do not have an eyeshadow. They don't have a lip product, no mascara, or anything else like that, just these products that I have shown you here. And I do think that they will be continuing to add to the line as they continue to grow. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go into the demonstration of me getting this makeup look today. And please don't forget to give my video a like. If you're new here, I would love to have you a part of our community, so please subscribe. And today we're gonna go with a butterfly emoji. So leave me a butterfly emoji down below if you don't want to leave me a comment. It really helps my channel when you like and comment on my videos. And I will see you at the end for my final thoughts on these products. Aloha everyone, and welcome to this full try-on of the Ciele makeup line. So I'm going to start off with their newest product, which is their Prime and Protect. This is an SPF 30 makeup primer, and it claims to, let's look at the claims. I can't read, you know, a lot of this stuff because it is so tiny. So let me put on my glasses. So with this, it says here, Prime and Protect. Multitasker that primes, protects, and perfects skin tone in one simple step. So it's supposed to smooth out the texture of your skin, help your makeup last longer, and give you SPF 30 protection. So their skin tint is actually SPF 50, but this alone I would not recommend as your sole sun protection. You have to wear sun protection underneath this, but that's one of the reasons why they did come out with a primer, and probably to help the longevity of this, because when I wear this, I find for my skin, and probably if you have oily skin or an oily T-zone, you'll notice that the foundation or this protect and tint will break up on your forehead and around the nose and sometimes around the mouth. So this Prime and Protect, you have to shake it before you apply it, and it's supposed to even out your skin tone. So here's the color. There's no fragrance in this, and there is no fragrance in their products. And I'd like to mention that I did already apply my skincare. I did not apply SPF on my face, just on from here down. So we're going to use this primer and work it into the skin. So this is supposed to kind of have like a grippy texture, give your skin some nice radiance. And I already see that. Might have applied too much, but I needed to apply a good amount just to make sure I get the proper SPF protection. It feels really good. Feels cooling on the skin. Feels smooth. I don't know if it improves the tone of my skin. I don't see that because when I apply it, it applies clear. So we'll see. So I'm gonna wipe off my hands. We're gonna let that kind of set into the skin, and then we're gonna go into their skin tint. So the skin tint color that I have is actually light medium, and this is just a tad bit too light and a tad bit yellow for me, and medium is too far up a jump. And I was going to pick up their this in medium and maybe mix them together, but I can mix in their Bronze and Protect drops. Now, the thing that I don't like mixing in their Bronze and Protect drops with the skin tint is that these are very luminous and make this too luminous for my skin. So what I've been doing is I will apply the skin tint, and then I'll go in with this to bronze up the perimeter of my face. And then I'll go in with their Sculpt and Protect. This is their bronzing sort of sculptor stick. So far that primer feels pretty good on my face. It doesn't feel like it's got a lot of grip to it, but my skin looks smoother. My pores do look a little bit blurred. It doesn't have like, like any kind of shimmer in it to enhance radiance or luminosity. That's just from the ingredients that are in this. And then I forgot to point out that this primer is also formulated with water and silicone, so it will work with both water-based foundations and silicones. This whole entire line is acne safe, and it's non-comedogenic. I can't say that. So I always give each product that is liquid a good shake. And then we're gonna go in with the Tint and Protect. Now this is an SPF 50. So I'm gonna start off with 5 drops. They recommend, I think, 9 to 10, and it's just too much coverage for me. Now this is sort of like a light coverage. It has more coverage than your typical skin tint. And I like to apply this with my fingers versus a brush. Now, side note, I do not have any of their brushes. I just have their makeup products, and they don't have an eyeshadow and they don't have a lip product yet. So hopefully that will come soon. So I'm just using the viewfinder to apply this to my skin. And then I might have to add some more on my chin. I did notice that primer did kind of smooth out the texture of my skin after applying this. My pores, like right here in my, where my 11s are, those are pretty large right in there. And they don't look as enhanced as what they normally do. So I just grabbed one drop. I'm applying it a little bit more into the center of my face. Okay, so next what I like to do is you can either go in with a brush or you can go in with a beauty blender. So what I usually like to do is I'll take a brush, but today I'm gonna try a damp beauty blender and see how this goes. See if I like it more so than with a brush. So far, yeah, it's pretty good. It does take up a little bit of the coverage as per usual, but it's pretty good so far. I do need a little bit more of this on my nose, so I'm just gonna put a dab on my nose, just a little tiny bit. Work that in. Yeah, it's not really sticking to my nose with that primer. I let my skincare set on my skin for about 20 minutes before I came in here. So, but I do notice that the texture of my skin looks so much better so far with this primer. But we'll see if it's gonna cause my skin to get oily or anything like that. Okay, so I'm gonna let that kind of set on. And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with their Bronze and Protect. And I have the shade 01. This is great for, I would say, they have two shades, 01 and 02. I would say fair, it might be a little bit dark, but if you have light to light medium to medium skin tone, this will probably work for you. I'm going to show you how luminous this formula is before I apply it to my skin. So as you can see, this has a good amount of shine to it. But when I apply it to my skin, I don't apply it in a heavy layer. I do it lightly and blend it into my skin, and it doesn't look as luminous as what you would expect it to do. It's really, really pretty. But when I add it to the skin tint, it gets way too luminous for me. So what I like to do with this is I put it on my hand here. I'm gonna take 2 drops, and I'm gonna take my Nikki LaRose N17 brush. This is for your liquid products, foundations, and I'm gonna use that side, and then this side is for powders. So what I like to do is load up my brush, and then I like to come over here around the perimeter of my face and start working that in. And then I'm going to blend it out, and you're gonna see that this is gonna give my skin a really nice warmth. I love to wear this with the Neova Silk Sheer sunscreen because that is sort of a matte photo finish, and it adds some luminosity to it to where it looks natural. So I need just a little bit on more around my chin area. because this brush does kind of soak this up when I really blend it in there. So as you can see, this is a nice natural bronze. Now, if you have fair skin, you could just use it a little bit less and then just really blend it into the skin. This would probably work for you. Okay, I need to blend it in a little bit on my forehead. I'll take the Damp Beauty blender for that, just to blend it in a little bit more so it looks seamless into my skin. All right, so there is the bronzing drops. And again, these are SPF 50. Okay, so next thing we're gonna go into is actually the concealer. So I have their concealer, I have the shade 4P, which is a tad bit too light for me. Now the thing with this concealer, it's very thick and it's very creamy, and it's actually has more coverage than the skin tint. So my favorite way to apply this is to take some on the back of my hand. Instead of putting this directly underneath my eyes, I like to take it the back of my hand, take a concealer brush. I'm using the BK Beauty A506 from their collaboration with Angie Hot and Flashy. And I work that concealer into the brush, and then I take it ever so slightly around my eyes. And I like to put this on my eyelids too, to protect them, because this has an SPF of 30 in it. This has really, really great coverage, but if you apply too much or you don't have your eyes hydrated properly and moisturized properly, it can dry them out, just so you know. Now I'm gonna take some more. It dries pretty fast too, by the way. So I should say it sets pretty fast. And I like to kind of put it a little bit around my nose too, with what's left over on the brush. Anywhere where I need a little bit more coverage, and knock it out. And as you can see, it's just a tad bit too light for me. I could probably go up to the 5P, which I believe is a light medium peach neutral. And this is a light medium shade, but it might be a little bit too dark, and I'm just kind of like unsure about this, because this is the, there's two products within the line that aren't really my favorites, and it would be this concealer and the next product we're gonna go into. So, but I've been playing around with the next product we're gonna go into, and I feel it is a little bit better than when I first tried it, but I'm not so sure, because for me, this is the Sculpt and Protect. So this is an SPF 30, and this could be used as your bronze tour, so bronzer and sculpting. I find it to be a bit warm for sculpting. These do run warm. So I have the shade medium, which I think it's number 3. Is it number 3? Let me see. Medium is number 2. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this directly on to my areas where I like to sculpt, and that would be like right here where my cheekbones are. And as you can see, this is pretty warm. And I will do a little bit right here, and we'll do some on my nose here in a second. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take my BK Beauty 106 brush and start blending that up into the skin. So this, for me, isn't really a contour. It's more of a more concentrated form of a bronzer. So if you don't want the luminosity or radiance that are in the Bronze and Protect, then this would be your go-to for your bronzer within the Ciele line. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now let's go ahead and contour the eyes and my nose. So I'm going to take this Rephr BO3 brush. This is meant for cream products, your eyeshadows, but I'm going to use it sort of as on my nose and a little bit on my crease of my eyes to give them some shape, because they don't have an eyeshadow or a powder bronzer. And we're trying to focus on doing a full face. So they don't have mascara, lip products, or eyeshadow. We'll see what's next for them. What do you guys think it is? So what's nice about this is you get the extra protection for the sunblock in here, or the sun protection, not sunblock. And it's great for the summertime, or when you know that you're going to be spending some extra time outdoors. So I need a little bit more of this. And the reason why the founder created an all SPF makeup line is because she suffers from hyperpigmentation, and especially right here on her cheeks. And she thought it would be pretty cool to come out with a all SPF line that offers enhanced protection for hyperpigmentation, and also for any kind of like scarring that you might get from acne. Okay, so that did work pretty good on my eyes over that concealer. I dropped a brush, but that's okay. We won't be using that brush anymore. So far here is what the primer, the Bronze and Protect, the Sculpt and Protect, and the concealer look like on my skin. And I will say with that primer, so far, so good. It also helped smooth out the lines that I have on my face too, by the way. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna powder. I'm gonna save the blush and the highlighter for last. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wipe off that brush that I just used for the Sculpt and Protect in my eyes, and we're gonna go in with the highlighter. So the highlighter that I have is called Piper. So it looks sort of like a light pink, but it has like sort of a very light gold, rose gold ship to it. So I'm gonna put this on my hand, and I'm gonna use this as an eyeshadow for my lower lid. Now this comes in 3 colors, and I believe it's Church, which sort of looks like a pale yellow. That would be the lightest one. I heard that that one is pretty beaming. And then we have Piper, which is this sort of rose gold color. And then there's Penny, which is sort of like a bronzy shade. So I'm grabbing some of this, and that's what it looks like, kind of blended out on my hand. And I'm gonna apply that to my lower lid here. Oh, that's really, really pretty. So it gives us something, and we're like all protected with all this SPF. I'm gonna grab a little bit more, probably too much. And I will put a little bit more of that, pat it on. I think it's Penny, which is that coppery shade, would be probably better as an eyeshadow. This is really, really light, but it gives me a little bit of something on the eyes. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna powder. So I have 2 powders from them. I have the shade Light and I have the shade Medium. So I've used this pretty well. Here's the thing with this. This is a nice powder. I love to use this to touch up my sunscreen. It's a little bit more on the affordable side than the Color Science sticks, but it does a pretty good job at setting the makeup. Now, this isn't the best powder that I've ever used, but it does a good job. I don't find it drying, and I love that it has that extra protection. Now it comes in 3 shades, light, medium, and I think tan. Light is too light for me to use all over my face, and especially with this color. Medium works better for me since I need to have a little bit more color in my skin for this foundation. With the Sculpt and Protect sticks, I believe there's 4 shades. I think it's light, medium, tan, and dark or deep, I think. We will see. All right, so let's go in with the light first. I'm going to set my under eyes with this. It comes with a really nice powder puff, and it has like a little angled tip right here so that you can, you know, get in there and set your under eyes if you wanted to get in there and like sort of bake with this. So here is light, and I'm going to go in with my BK Beauty. This is the 108 Precision Powder Brush, and I'm just going to load that powder up into there, and I'm just going to kind of work it into the brush, into my hand, and then I'm going to go ahead and powder my under eyes with this. And you know what? I'm going to put a little bit here on my eyes too. And then I'll go into this area and set this with the light, okay? And then now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the medium shade. So these powders do have a sifter, and I kept the plastic on this one. And what I've been doing is I've been putting it out into the cap because the sifters get really, really messy. And then here is medium. And then I'm going to go in with my BK Beauty 102 brush. And I'm going to load it up with this powder. And then pat it into my hand. And then I am just going to go around and powder the rest of my face. Now for me, I have to powder this, otherwise I will get too dewy and too shiny with this skin tint. So if you have dry skin, you will really love this skin tint. If you have oily skin, you are going to have to powder this, because I've had some people, like on the days where I didn't powder this, they've said, "Ooh, you're too overly glowy." So it was kind of embarrassing. But so just make sure you powder and take powder along with you for any touch-ups that you might need to, you know, reapply the SPF protection or to, you know, take down some of that dewiness. Okay, so I have 2 of their blushes. The colors that I have are Bahati and January. I'm going to swatch them on my hand for you. So first, let me just wipe this off. So here is Bahati. So this is kind of like a warm pink nude. And then we have January, which to me is like a warm baby pink. So this Bahati one, it's pretty, but sometimes it looks a little bit too warm on my cheeks. And I prefer the January. Now, one thing I wish that they would do is I wish that they would add more blush colors, because the blush colors that they have currently are not really my jam. So I'm just taking the BK Beauty 112 brush and tapping it onto that color and working it into the brush, and then working it onto my cheeks. So, and I'm using the shade January. Gosh, I'm a little off. Probably shouldn't have been filming this today. Okay, so I'm grabbing a little bit more. Now you can put this blush directly on the cheeks if you want. So they have a brighter pink, a coral shade, and they have like a nude shade and a very dark shade that could be sort of like a sort of bronzer. Okay, so that is the blush in January. So I'm just gonna go around it with the Beauty Blender. So now what we're gonna do is I have a little bit of this highlighter left, and I'm just gonna grab some on my finger. It's so creamy. And I'm just going to apply that to the high points of my cheeks. See how it blends into the skin. Looks really, really natural. Put some on my nose. I put a little bit too much over here. So. Okay, so a little bit of this goes a long way, but it looks really, really pretty. Alrighty, so what do I have to do now? I have to go in with that blush brush and just blend in whatever blush I have left on here over that highlighter where I put too much. Okay, so far looks great. Now, what I'm gonna do is, since they don't have a lip product, I'm gonna put this Kulfi. This is their Lassie Lips Staining Lip Oil. I have the shade Rose. I heard that this was pretty good, so I wanted to try it. And I've tried it once, and what I have to tell you is you have to be careful how you apply this, because if you get it outside your lip line, it will stain it. So this feels pretty good, but it's more of a lip stain than a lip oil. So we're trying it out. It's not really, looks pretty dark now, but it's gonna wear off in a minute. But you just wanna be careful that you don't get it outside your lip line because it will stain it. So what I like about this is for the work days when you can't reapply your lipstick or your lip color and you want to just put on a lip balm so your lips stay hydrated. This stains the lips really, really nicely, and it leaves back some color so that your lips are stained with this beautiful color pretty much all day long. So I'm gonna jump off and apply some mascara and brows, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. Now, this is my second time trying this Kulfi Lip Lassie Staining Lip Oil. And I will tell you that when you first put this on, it feels pretty moisturizing. I just noticed that the color is kind of off with this blush. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with the shade Bahati, and I'm gonna add some of this to my cheeks to kind of tone down the pinkiness, because I think my cheeks don't match the lip product. So I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of Bahati and just kind of warm up this blush so it's not so pinky pink. Although that didn't look like it really did much because my cheeks are red from the application of the blush because my skin is reactive to touch. All right, so here is the makeup look. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, come back in a couple hours and do a check-in with you guys, because I wanna see how this wears with the new primer. Now, so far as a first impression, I do like the primer better with the skin tint. I find that I don't see my pores as much as what I'm used to with this skin tint. And my skin looks more hydrated and plump, but I want to see what happens for the longevity of the makeup before it starts breaking up. I do think I could use more powder though, so I'm gonna go back in with the medium because I am looking pretty luminous and dewy. And that's one thing that you have to just take note of the Ciele skin tint. I do find that it is pretty luminous on the skin. So, all right. I'm gonna just grab some more of that shade in medium. I'm just going to powder a little bit more because I don't think I powdered enough the first time. And then I could put a little bit of powder over that blush because the blush does last, but the color does fade if you don't apply any powder over the top of it, just so you know. All right, so here we go. So I'll be back in a couple of hours to check in with you guys and let you know how it goes. So I'll see you in a few. Okay, everyone, I'm back and it's been 2.5 hours and here's my skin. I still think it looks exactly the same as when I very first applied it. Normally, when I just wear the Tint and Protect, I am a dewy hot mess by now and I have to reapply the powder. So far, this primer seems like a winner for me. I really love how it smoothed out the texture of my skin. My fine lines are barely even visible. My pores are blurred. Oh, wow. It just looks so good. This primer is, I think, the best primer I've ever tried. What I like about this primer is that when you first put it on, yes, it feels like it's going to be maybe a bit too moisturizing and it might be too glowy, but as it settles into the skin after your makeup application, it just really smooths and perfects everything. So far, I'm really liking this a lot as a first impression. So this is a winner for me, and I will continue to test this out and report back to you guys. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go over these products with you and end the video because I am slowly running out of time here because I have to go cook some spaghetti sauce and it's gonna take me a while to do that. So update on the Colfi Lossy Lip Staining Oil. So this is still the same application that I applied 2.5 hours ago. I did eat and I have been drinking my water. But what I did is I did apply the Ole Henriksen, this is their Pout Preserve Peptide lip treatment. And I have the shade Creme Brulee here, which is sort of, it looks clear on me. It's a very nude shade with not even really, it doesn't, the color of this, the tint, it doesn't do anything to the color of my lips. But I like to use this with this because this alone, the formula is, I would say it feels nourishing, but once it sets in and the oil is all absorbed into your lips or moves away, that you're just left behind with this stain. And if your lips are dry, your lips are gonna look, you know, kind of like you'll see like the wrinkles in your lips, the crevices. So putting over a really nice juicy lip balm like this, or I even like the Osmosis Superfood Lip Oil, really helps the lips to kind of plump them up a little bit and plumps, and I already said plumps, but helps moisturize your lips. So that's what I did. So I do love this for the longevity. It doesn't really do anything special about your lips. It's just a nourishing lip stain that doesn't dry out your lips like typical lip stains do. So there's that, and that's the shade Rose. Now, the Ciele Tint and Protect SPF 50 Skin Tint. I have had this for quite a while, and I started out with this, their blushes, the light powder, and the Sculpt and Protect. So when I first had this Sculpt and Protect, I think I got a bad one, but I'll go over that. So those are the products that I started out with. Immediately, I did fall in love with the skin tint, but I was noticing on those warmer days that my skin would get really dewy and really shiny, and I was constantly having to reapply the powder. So if you have oily skin, you would definitely need to set this really well. So far with this primer, just the one application of powder has been great because, like I said, normally within a half an hour, my skin is like, it's super dewy, but that primer has really helped mitigate it. I think that this is great for all skin types, especially if you have dry skin. I think that you will really love this. I love that it has a little bit more coverage than a typical skin tint. And I love that it's an SPF 50. And like what I mentioned before, I wouldn't recommend using this as my sole SPF protection. If you go in with the primer and put this on top, then yes, that could be your SPF protection. Otherwise, I would recommend using a different SPF. Now, their concealer. So their concealer, I have been testing this on and off. When I first initially got this, I did not like this. I thought it was too thick and it really dried out my under eyes. And what has been a game changer for this is making sure that my eye area where I'm going to apply this is really nice and hydrated. And I just use the Calisum Eye Contour Lifting Cream underneath my eyes. And I'm finding that this is doing amazing things for my eyes, but I didn't have to add any additional eye cream on top of this. And the concealer looks really, really good. Now, what has been the game changer for me with this concealer is not applying it directly under my under eyes and blending it in. What works best is if I take the concealer, put it on my hands, work it into my brush, and then apply it to my under eyes. However, if you have any spots around your face where you really want it to get in there and cover, this you could apply directly to the skin and work it in those areas, and it does an amazing job at the coverage. This is a full coverage concealer. It's actually more coverage than the skin tint. So you just want to make sure that you do blend this, you know, in anywhere that you put it so it looks seamless into the skin and not, you know, like, hey, you know, noticeable to where people are going to notice that you're covering up spots. But since I changed the application method, I have learned to love this. And I think it is a really nice concealer. You just have to take in consideration it can be drying if your skin is not prepped well, especially under the eyes. And it is a very thick and creamy concealer. We have their Sculpt and Protect. So this product I didn't like at first. And I think I got a bad one because I have been playing around with this. I returned the first one that I got. And then I picked up a new one because I wanted to do this video. And so I've been playing around with this and I actually like it now than when I first got it. So I would just take into consideration that these do run warm and they do come in 4 shades. So you have number 1, which is light, number 2, which is medium, what I have. You have number 3, which is tan, and then you have number 4, which I believe is dark. So they do come in the different shades and they all do run warm. I'm in the light to medium of the skin tint, and medium works great for my skin. Now, one thing I didn't touch about the skin tint is that I do find that their color range is a little bit off because this light to medium is going to be too light for me in the summer. And maybe in the summer I will pick up the medium one because I have tested it with adding the Bronze and Protect bronzing drops, and this just makes it too luminous. But I will try it again with the makeup primer and report back to you guys because I really don't want to buy, you know, multiple shades of this. If I can make these work, that would be great. I just don't like the luminosity that it adds to my skin. I find that it enhances my pores and texture in my skin. But then again, I said, let me try it with that makeup primer and see how that goes. And the Bronze and Protect bronzing drops I'm going to go over next. So there's that. And then in the concealer, I use the shade 4P, which is for light to medium skin tones. I will probably pick up another shade of this in the future, probably for the Sephora sale. Now, for the Bronze and Protect SPF 50 bronzing concentrate. Oh, I forgot to mention that this is an SPF 30. Bronze and Protect SPF 50 bronzing concentrate drops. Now, I really love these. I think they're pretty. I have it on, you know, right here, and the powder did take down some of the luminosity. I find that when I blend this really well into the skin and use it as a bronzer, it's not too luminous. And I really love to pair it with my Neovis Silk Sheer 2.0 SPF. This has sort of a light peachy tint to it. that evens out your skin tone, and then it has a photo finish and it can look pretty matte on the skin. And then this just enhances your your complexion with a bit of warmth and a little bit of luminosity with that sunscreen. But I have been loving it to apply it as a bronzer, so that's my favorite application with this versus applying it into the skin tint. But I will try that again, by the way, now that I have the primer, and I'm liking the way that my skin has looked so far for these last, well, it's 3 hours now, and it looks great. So I will still play around with this and report back to you. But if you're looking for a really good formulation of the bronzing drops that has some luminosity to it, I love these. It's not a thin formula, it's on the thicker side. It's creamy, it doesn't dry out the skin, and applies very well and is very easy to blend out. Now, for their blushes, I love the formula of these blushes. Now, these are also an SPF 50. I have the shade Bahati, and then I have the shade January here. I would love for them to expand their blush colors, because I really love this formula. It goes onto the skin well, it lasts. I do recommend that you do powder them, because if you don't powder them, you will get some slight fading of the color, not completely, but the color will slightly fade. But these are just so beautiful on the skin. They blur it out and give you this slight luminosity to it, and they look healthy and natural on the skin. A new product for me from this video is this is their Glow and Protect SPF 50 highlighter. So this comes in 3 colors. I think there's 6 colors of the blushes. You have 3 colors of this. So I have the rose gold shade, and it's called Piper. I think that this is a beautiful highlighter formulation, and I did apply it to my eyes, and it did crease a little bit. It's not meant to be applied to the eyes, so maybe the next time I try applying this to my eyes, I will just skip putting concealer there and then just put this on there so it's not too creamy. But love this highlighter. It's very natural. A little bit goes a long way. It's not beaming on the skin. It just gives you that natural glow to the skin. Now, I'm thinking about picking up the color Penny and using that as an eyeshadow. I think that would be really pretty in the summer. I find that Piper is a little bit too light for me on my lids, but this I think would actually be really pretty in the inner corner too. So this is love. Their Filter and Protect powders. So these are an SPF 50. They come in 3 shades. I have light and I have medium, and then they have deep. So light is too light for me to use all over my face. I thought it would be fine, but it does kind of like make me a little bit pale, and it seems a bit powdery on my skin, like it doesn't blend in as well. I prefer the medium. Now, what I do like to use light for is to set my under eyes and a bit here where I want some brightening, and then I go in with the medium. Now, this powder isn't, I wouldn't say like when I use this powder without that primer, it's not very good at oil control. It does, you know, blur out the skin. It does set the foundation, but I do need to reapply this throughout the day. Now, I haven't reapplied it today since I added that primer, and it's looking just great. Now, I do love to carry these in my purse to reapply my sunscreen. It's a little bit more affordable than others out there, and I really like the formula. Now, with this packaging, I'm not really a fan of the packaging. So you get your puff, and then it has that sifter. And I normally don't store the puff in here. I haven't used it, it's clean, and I just put it back in here because I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna need this to reapply it. So I stuck it in my purse. So normally in the mornings, what I do is I just take some out and I put it in the cap, and then I take the clean puff and then put it on top. So this is how I reapply my sunscreen, but of course I don't apply that much at one time. I dab it in my hand beforehand. But I really like this powder. I mean, it's not Huda Beauty, so it's not, you know, very heavy duty with the oil control, but if you have dry skin, I think you will love this. I would just say that just to be sure that you get the right color, because if it's too light for your skin tone, then you're gonna really notice it on the skin. And then I picked up the medium this week to test it out to see how I would like it with the light medium foundation. And I like it so much better that it really cancels out it being too light for my skin, a little bit of that yellowness, because this is sort of a peachy tint to it. Now for this one, I left in the plastic seal so I can store my puff in there. What I wanted to do that for this light one, but when it came, that seal had been corroded, or not corroded, but it had so much powder in it from it being shaken around from shipping that seal just popped right off. But the powders, I love them. I think they're great. I love that they have that SPF 30 in them. But my favorite powders of all time are still the Makeup by Mario and Huda Beauty. So those would be my favorites, but those don't have SPF, and I just love these. So honestly, like, I love everything in this line. There were a couple of products that, you know, I had to play around with first and get my application right to see if I'd really, really like them. With the Sculpt and Protect, this, I wouldn't expect to get some major contouring with this. This is more of a bronze tour, and it focuses on a bronzer. So if you don't want luminosity, you know, with your bronze, but you're looking for a bronzer that is in cream form and has SPF protection, this is great. It's a matte finish on the skin. The only thing I would say about this product is the packaging. Now, I know that when you take this out, like, you're going to be able to get every bit of it out, but sometimes, like, it gets stuck and I have to push it down. That's kind of like an issue for me. The packaging of this feels the cheapest out of everything in the whole line, but I think that the two products where the package really annoys me is their Tint and Protect, and it's because it's this dropper. So this dropper is it's really messy, and you have to be careful when you put it back in, because if you slide it and get it on the edge of the glass bottle, it's going to get all corroded right here. So it is messy, and you can be clumsy with it because it is such a long dropper. I would prefer this in a pump, personally, and I don't really need the cap, but it's there. And then the same thing goes for the Bronze and Protect. It's the same packaging, you know, glass bottle with the dropper, but you know, that's how it goes. So these really aren't travel friendly, but you can make it work if you really wanted to, right? So that is my thoughts of this line. I definitely recommend that you look into it. I think it's a beautiful formulated line, especially for having sun protection. When you're working with mineral sun protection, or, you know, any kind of sun protection in general, and you're trying to formulate it in products, especially like with makeup, you know, products that have color, it is really, really tough to get that formula just right. Sometimes, you know, it feels too heavy on the skin. It's too dewy, too luminous. It's too thick and heavy. And the only product that I find that is thick is their concealer, but everything else is really elegantly formulated, applies well to the skin. Super impressed with the formulation of this makeup line for having mineral SPF in it. And none of these products, when they're applied to the skin, feel heavy on my skin. And actually right now, I feel like I'm not even wearing anything on my skin. And I love that, because there's a lot of mineral sunscreens out there to where you can really feel them on the skin. And I don't feel that with these Ciele products. Or another thing too, like with chemical sunscreens that are formulated into makeup, they kind of have that dry oil feeling and they dry out the skin. Well, the Ciele makeup line does not dry out the skin whatsoever. I haven't experienced that, and I just find that it just looks really, really beautiful. And the primer seems to be a game changer for me with this, with keeping my skin nice and smooth. My pores aren't enhanced, and I still have a slight glow to my skin without it being too much. So I love that. Now I will be wearing all these tomorrow for work, so I'll get a full day wear test, and I will keep you guys updated as we go along. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm sending you all so much love and light. Don't forget to leave me a butterfly emoji down below if you don't want to comment. And I will see you in the next one. Mwah. Aloha. Go spread your aloha. Don't forget to smile. And most importantly, don't forget to shine bright. Love ya.